Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And it's freedomthroughastrology.com. I am your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. Here's my contact information, standard YouTube copyright, and no, my content may not be used to train AI LLMs. You're not paying me for it. You don't need it. I apologize the last couple of weeks. My throat has been a little bit off. I'm just getting over a viral infection to my throat, and it has made speaking a little bit more challenging. Keys to the reading, part one, because I do read astrology differently. I read what's called constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal astrology. It's astrology by the visible sky. Because in ancient times, astrologers were astronomers, and they would see where the planet was in the sky and read it there. Tropical astrology tries to force the signs to fit seasons. They don't. So I am reading astrology as an astronomer would see the sky. And in using the visible sky, there are 13 signs. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius is the sign of the fucus. The symbol of a fucus is of a person holding a snake by the head and tail. And in ancient times, the snake symbolized knowledge. So the mythos is that either a fucus or Asclepius, I'm sure there's more, they were wounded, and the gods trained them how to heal themselves, and ideally they would then use that knowledge to heal themselves and then heal other people with similar wounds. So there's that. I use the natural size of the constellations. There are astrologers, again, who try to force the signs all to be the same size. They aren't. Virgo in all her glory is just under 50 degrees. But Aries, Cancer, Libra, Fucus, Scorpio, all of them individually are less than 25 degrees apiece. So they're the natural, I follow the natural sizes of the constellations and just deal with it. It's the way they are in the sky, and I respect that. And I use astrological midpoints instead of the IAU boundaries. IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn and do take stars from one constellation and push them over into a different one. Athan Shementi noted this when he was looking real close at the border of Scorpio and a fucus, that there were stars from Scorpio actually over the boundary in a fucus. So he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of fucus, what's the halfway point? And he did that through the whole zodiac. And it works fairly decent. I like it a little bit better than the IAU boundaries. Keys to the reading, part two. I interpret using evolutionary astrology, which says these are lessons to learn. The transits, the planets, and signs are here to teach you lessons, and you have freedom of choice. You can decide how you want to work with these opportunities. You can take the high road or the low road. So I do honor that. This is the weekly edition. So these are universal lessons for, excuse me, these are universal lessons for everyone. So do have some compassion on your fellow Earth travelers, or as I occasionally call them, fellow ground pounders. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I am right outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. I could go wider, but some weeks that would get overwhelming, and if I'm overwhelmed, you're lost. So this is when these energies are going to be most intense. And the software that I'm using is Capricorn by Prometheus. Expect an update soon on when that will be made available through the ISAA. And last but not least, I craft all my own forecasts. There are some astrologers who are turning to AI to create their forecasts for them and do the interpretation. Aside from Capricorn by Prometheus, I craft all my own interpretations. I refuse to let AI do anything for me. I think it's garbage. Okay, we do have interesting forecast this week. So we're looking at the week of June 29th through July 5th, 2026. We do have the sun still in Gemini. Some people are trying to push it over into Cancer. Nope, still in Gemini. The moon begins the week in Sagittarius and will end in Pisces. So it's actually a very stable lunar week. So look for emotional stability this week. We do begin the week with the full moon in Sagittarius at 6:34 p.m. Eastern time. So right after I'm posting this video. I wish I could turn off the lights in this room. I'm at the library where we have air conditioning. Yes. Very hot in my house today. Our active planets of the week are Mars, learning courage and assertiveness, and Uranus, a planet that teaches you individuality and authenticity. We do not have any sign changes this week. And we do have a number of long transits. These are transits that involve the outer planets usually. Uranus and the moon's nodes. This is going to kick out and then I think kick back in. I'm looking at different models. It's just the way it falls. Neptune and Pluto are in transit to each other. Uranus and Neptune, Uranus and Pluto, and finally Jupiter and Chiron. I just grouped all the Uranus and the three outer planets together just to make it a little bit easier. And retrograde, we do have two retrograde planets right now, Mercury, who just went retrograde, and Pluto, who's been there for quite some time. So let me do this. Move my doodle tool, oops, and move the doodle tool up here so it's out of the way-ish. And you can see this is our week. I'm going to start with the lunar transits like I always do. The moon entered Sagittarius late Sunday night, and we will be in Sagittarius all the way through Wednesday afternoon when we enter into Capricorn. And then Friday afternoon, we'll enter Aquarius. And then Sunday in the afternoon, we will enter Pisces. So the moon is actually relatively stable this week. It is also in a waning or releasing phase. Somebody asked me about that, so I'll just mention that. So we're going to be releasing some energies. And as you can see, we do have the full moon on Monday evening. So if you do go outside after sunset, you'll see the full moon rising in all its glory. And it will be in Sagittarius, early Sagittarius at that, I think. And let's see. Now, this dotted line, anything above this dotted line is last week's transits. And first thing I'm going to cover with this are the transits that are releasing. Well, actually, hold on. You can see, like I say, the active planets. I'm going to cover it this way, like I always do. We do have a lot of Uranian energies this week. This one, Uranus squaring the South Node, didn't show up on this week's plot, but it's there on other ones. When I do a month, I do 2 weeks, and if I do a monthly, it shows up, but it's not showing up on the weekly. So I'm drawing that in, and it will be along the same lines as the North Node. But you can see there's quite a bit of Uranian energy, and this is, again, learning independence and authenticity. And let's see. And then secondly, I'm just going to clear this out as to make it a little bit easier to see. Our other main energies this week you can see is Mars. Even without the transit that's ending with Mars and Jupiter, we do have 4 new transits with Mars, because Mars and Uranus are very close. So a lot of energy dealing with learning courage and assertiveness. And one last thing just to say is you can see we have this nice split here where we have the transits that are ending, closing out on Monday and Tuesday, and we don't really have any new transits with the planets until Wednesday. So we have this nice clean break, so to speak, kind of between June and July. Well, I myself do prefer the lunar months with the man-made model. We do get this nice clean break between June 30th and July 1st with old transits clearing out before we get the new ones. And at that, it's going to be most intense from the second on is when it really cascades and builds up. So expect like the July 3rd, 4th, 5th weekend to be very busy and very powerful, especially with that Mars energy, learning of courage. So let's see, clear this out, clear all drawings, close. And with that, I'm now going to, oops, come on. Sometimes the escape button wants to work, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm just gonna have to do it this way. The OTPT on my hand is doing much better. I still have the wound, but I'm actually able to close my hand fully now, almost. So I will get back to making my individual slides that I do. I do enjoy those. I'm going to begin with the longer transits that'll be carrying on, I believe, and then I will be working with the planets that are the transits that are closing out. So let's get our doodle tool going. And we're going to begin with Neptune sextiling Pluto. Here we have Neptune and wonderful Pluto. These outer planets are just having a heyday right now, wanting to show everybody this is how you do it. So let's remember what Neptune teaches us. Neptune is teaching you to be here, be now, in the words of Ram Dass. Don't just do something, be there, sit there. So it's asking you to be present and in the moment. And this is a sextile, which is a sense of excitement or interest. And what is it? Expressing an interest in learning. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Pluto, the planet of transformation, change, deep healing even. And retrograde means you're reflecting on the work and also doing internal work. In Capricorn, that's the key word here, doing the work. Capricorn likes to get stuff done. It wants to have a sense of achievement. So as you're becoming aware of present of who you are and where you are, that helps create an interest in doing the work of inner healing and inner transformation. So that spirituality can do, and I will talk about spirituality. I will not ever preach to you religion. Your spiritual path is your own. How you arrive at that through the various different type of religious practices or personal practices, choose your own path. So by becoming more spiritual aware and spiritually present, that does help you with your inner healing and transformation of your soul. The shadow here, Neptune in Pisces gets lost in fantasies. You're anywhere but where you are. You're caught up in the past, daydreaming about something, God only knows what, creates a sense of nervousness, and instead of healing and transformation, leads to deep wounding, focus on darkness or cynicism, and that leaves you feeling alone and isolated as you're lost in this misplaced fantasy. I'm going to add now to this Uranus in Taurus is now also sextiling, excuse me, Uranus in Taurus is sextiling Neptune in Pisces. And Uranus in Taurus, learning to be at peace with who you really are, your individual, authentic self. And as you're becoming more at peace who that is, that's creating an interest in your spirituality and your spiritual self and helping you to become more present and more aware. Whoops. So finding that peace and strength that comes from being your authentic self creates an interest in your spirituality and connecting to your higher self as well. So as you become aware more of who you are, this helps you connect to your higher self. This shadow. Uranus sells itself out to the expectations of others. Now, whether this is the sell yourself out to fit in with some other group, whether it's the eccentric rebels, or as I call them, the suits. You're trying to fit in with whatever group. You're acting out or selling out, either which way. Pushing people's buttons to get a reaction, or selling out to fit in. That feeds a fantasy that you're actually achieving something or actually being someone. You're not. You're living a lie. And in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus is either the lazy bull that's just chilling out and just doing nothing, just going with the easy way out, or it's that bull in a china shop. And I can tell people I worked on a farm, bull's just sitting there fine. When it starts trotting around the field, get out now. So Uranus can be that lazy bull that just, you know what, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Or it's that bull in the china shop that's just raising Cain and destroying everything. And that it's living off an illusion that just doesn't work. And I'm going to clear that out because we do have another longer transit. We do have Jupiter in Cancer in a square to Chiron in Pisces. So Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter is about opportunity, taking the opportunity to what? Calm down, rest, heal. So this is taking the opportunity to rest and heal. And a square is a challenge. Its purpose is to strengthen you. So as you're calming yourself and just relaxing, you're going to be challenged to heal and release wounds. And these can be just regular wounds. These can be also, when I'm looking at Chiron in Pisces, we're looking about spiritual wounds and releasing these deeper wounds of your life. So as you're calming down, relaxing, resting, nurturing yourself, how's that strengthening you to heal and release wounds? The shadow here, Jupiter's shadow, is a crisis of confidence. And in Cancer, that becomes defensive, trying to hide away, or you become snippy with people. Remember, the crab has claws. And yes, I will tell you, crabs, putting those claws on you will hurt. So taking those swipes, and that square, instead of being strengthening, becomes a stumbling block that fuels deeper wounding that you're trying to numb the pain of or escape. And that's just epic fail. Now let's clear this out. We do have some, hold on a second, other transits that are being worked on and released. And I do want to talk about Uranus and the nodes of the moon, because we're getting it according to the plot. It's giving us a release for now. It may come back. It's looking like it does in a couple other models. But the South Node in Leo is teaching you how you hold yourself back with drama and helping you to become aware of that. And the North Node in Aquarius is teaching you how to release that. That's becoming more in line with your authentic self and your authentic mission in life. Because if you're focusing on your mission in life, who cares about the drama of what's going on in the world right now? And remember, the South Node is in the way I read it, the South Node is how you hold yourself back by focusing on it too much. And the ideal is to move to the North Node, because that is purpose and mission in life. Do look at where these are in your birth chart, because that is telling you what type of drama you're focusing on and what mission you need to make authentic. And these are both squaring Uranus and Taurus. And like I said, the square is a challenge that's there to strengthen you. So Uranus in Taurus, as I said, you're learning to become at peace with who you are at heart and finding the inner strength, or finding the strength and calm that comes from that. So and what's really interesting here is actually it's the nodes that are triggering Uranus, not the other way around. The nodes circle the sun, or their path is out of their orbit is actually around 18.6 years, where Uranus circles in 84, I believe it's 84.4 years. So it's really the nodes of the moon that are triggering Uranus. So as you're becoming more aware of how you hold yourself back, and you're becoming aware of that, that's strengthening your ability to say, that is not who I am. And then you're realizing who you really are and your authentic mission in life, and you're pursuing that. Now, the shadow here, that past drama, that's the shadow of the South Node. You're reliving it and rehashing it. And instead of becoming your authentic self, you're selling it out to anybody or anybody. You're giving it away to the expectations of others. Either not doing anything with it, you don't care, or you're doing what other people tell you, or you're just doing something to provoke a reaction from people. This becomes a crushing burden on your Uranus. And instead of you becoming who you really are and finding the peace in that, again, you're giving your power away, giving your identity away to the expectations of others, or you're selling it out and just acting out to get a reaction. Uranus does rule Aquarius, which is why that sounds kind of similar. And this becomes a crushing burden. So the nodal, your nodal journey, your life's purpose and destiny, instead of freeing you, it becomes a crushing burden. And instead of you becoming more authentic, you become more fake. And that can lead actually to other problems. And let's see, I just want to check. Oh, okay, one more thing here. Let me clear this out. Yeah, we have a lot going on from last week. Last week's readings are about as much as the longer transits are actually about as much as, oops, wrong circle there, my bad. There it is. We have Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Mercury teaching you about how you learn and what you're communicating and how you communicate. Retrograde, you're reflecting on the lessons you're learning and how you're communicating and sharing with them. And that is in Gemini. People are trying to say Mercury is in Cancer. Far from it. It's really in Gemini. And Gemini is, the purpose of Gemini is to open your mind to new information and new ideas and new possibilities. So it's actually in a way about the opportunity to learn and communicate. So you're now reflecting, are you taking those opportunities and how are you communicating it? This shadow, instead of opening your mind, Mercury can shut it down, become narrow-minded, focused, nervous, just rehashing what it knows. And in Gemini, instead of opening up the mind to new information, new ideas, it's staying stuck in what it knows. And it's just repeating the same old, dull, dry, boring conversations and information over and over again. And then it actually can become rather boring. And finally, we are beginning the week with the moon in Sagittarius. Emotionally, you're open and ready for something new and unexpected. Sagittarius likes to get up, go out in the world, and have fun, do something. So you're beginning the week with this expectation of exploration. The shadow here is a self-righteous defense of the status quo or the past, and trying doing everything you can to stay with it and stay stuck in it. And this can lead to incredible boredom. I mean, imagine eating the same thing every day of the week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How boring would that get? I have to be careful with what I say because right now I am on a restricted diet, and yeah, it is kind of dry. All right. Turns out certain foods do react with the antiviral that is actually working on my throat. So let's clear that out. And I'm going to close that out. And so Monday, oh man, this is practically perfect. Love it when that happens. We begin Monday with that full moon. Whoops. Still learning to use the index finger again. We begin the week with the full moon in Sagittarius. This is a time of reflection and balance. The sun, you're learning and communicating, learning about who you are and learning to communicate with who you are. But the moon is saying, get out of the library and go out into the world and do it. So this is a time of reflection and balance. Look at what you're learning about yourself, but then how are you taking that out into the world? And what are you doing out in the world to help you to get more experiences? The moon wants to get up, go out, and do stuff with Sagittarius. The shadow here, sorry about that. The shadow, we talked about the sun in Gemini. The sun in Gemini gets caught up in the false ego. In Gemini, being a know-it-all, you can't teach me anything because I know it already. And we said that moon gets stuck in a rut of the past, dull, dry, boring. And this pulls you out of balance and it fuels busyness and boredom. Just doing the same thing tomorrow because that's what you did yesterday. Doing the same thing today and that's what you're going to do tomorrow because that's what you did yesterday. And this can lead to dull, dry, boring. On Tuesday, we're just dealing with transits. Close this out. Wednesday. Okay, now, whoops. I hate when this happens. There we go. Wednesday. Pull Doodle tool. We do have Mars in Taurus. It is showing here a T-square to the north node, but anytime you're in a T-square to the north node, you're also operating with the south node. It didn't pull up in this model, but it pulled up on a 2-week and on the monthly. So I'm going to include it. And we did talk South Node in Leo, pointless dramas and problems of the past, and you release that by following your authentic mission and purpose in life. And this is a T-square, the purpose, and this is Mars in Taurus. So as you're having the courage to calm down and chill out and be at peace, it is going to challenge you. The drama of the past is going to challenge you and strengthen you, and you have victory in this sense by saying, I no longer need that trauma. It is not suiting me. And you're having the courage to leave it behind and work towards your north node in Aquarius, which is embracing your authentic mission and becoming more at peace with that. The shadow of all this, Mars falls into fear. Now, that can come across as anger. Angry Mars, that's a bull in a china shop. It's going to be very dangerous. Or the angry Mars that's just lazy and you're not moving me anywhere, and repeating the problems of the past and staying stuck there, and instead of becoming your authentic mission, just ruining it. I'm not going to do anything with it, or you want to tell me what to do? Fine, I'll do it your way and make everybody regret it in the process. And that your future destiny gets crushed by the problems of the past. And let me close that out. And just one more transit here. We do have later in the day, actually very much later in the day, the moon enters Capricorn. So I'm looking this right there. Moon in Capricorn, emotionally, you want to get stuff done. So maybe Wednesday evening is a good time to sit down and plan, do some emotional planning for the rest of the week. What are you going to get done? How are you going to spend this July 4th weekend if you're here in the United States? If not, what else are you going to do? It's a moon in Capricorn is ready to face challenges that come your way with the intention of having success. It knows it's going to take work and self-discipline to succeed. So maybe this is a good time emotionally to sit down and plan things out. Now, the shadow of that is that the moon in Capricorn can become an emotional control freak. And that can result and lead to your feeling isolated and alone. Capricorn can be Capricorn can be a control freak, trying to micromanage things, and results in everyone just feeling isolated. Let's clear up drawings and close that out. And Thursday, whoops, but you can do it. There we go. Thursday, we have Mars conjunct Uranus. You want to talk about a power transit here? Mars is courage and assertiveness conjunct Uranus, to be who you are and be your individual and authentic self. And in Taurus, to find the peace and strength that comes from that. Plain and simple. The shadow, Mars falls into fear. That could be anger or cowardice. And in anger, I can very easily see acting out as the bull in the china shop. You don't tell me what to do and who to be, and you're going to destroy everything anything and everything that gets in your way. Or it falls into fear and it sells itself out, goes for the lazy, easy way. You want me to be someone, just tell me who to be and I'll be it. Just leave me alone. So either you're acting out or selling out and giving away. Either which way, you're giving away and giving up your power, and you wind up being fake. Now, oops, close this out. Friday. There we go. There we go. Friday, we have, again, Uranus in Taurus is trining Pluto retrograde. This one's going to be with us for a good long time until early August. Whoops. Nice trine with Uranus and Pluto. Put this down here. So as you're coming to peace with being your authentic self, this trine supports. A trine is an easy energy. It is a support. And a little bit of energy goes a long way. So that is supporting doing the work of reflection on transformation. What work have you been doing? How have you been doing it? How is this helping you to heal? And then even at that, doing the inner work of transformation that leads to healing and change. The shadow here is you're losing your individuality. You're giving it away. You're selling it out to the expectations of others, or just acting out to push a response. And you're either being lazy about it, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, or you're that bull in a china shop, don't tell me what to do or else. And instead of that leading to healing, that leads to deeper wounding. And I create, hold on a second, I just went. Leads, yeah, that's the sense that leads to deeper wounding, isolation, and loneliness, and it fuels cynicism, emptiness, loneliness, isolation. That acting out or selling out, you not being who you really are, becomes more deeply wounding. Clear that. And we also have Mars in Taurus, sextiling Neptune in Pisces. So as you're having the courage to calm yourself down and be at peace, this creates an interest in your spirituality, in your becoming present and more aware. So, and this can lead to you becoming more aware of your higher self or of higher realms as well. So it's an opportunity for you to help you grow your spirituality. The shadow here, Mars falling into fear, and that can be the angry bull, or or it can be fall into cowardice. Both of them are types of fear, and that's just the lazy bull, and it creates a sense of nervousness. And in Neptune and Pisces is that desire to fall into idle fantasies, hide away, numb the pain, anything to escape reality. And this leads to you feeling lost. And if I were to go much later in the day here, actually, I'm going to close that out. Let's go right here. There we go. We have Uranus in. We have Uranus. We have the moon in Aquarius. So emotionally, hey, July 3rd, feeding into July 4th, you want to feel free and independent. You want to take paths, open up to feel what you really feel, and take the paths that lead towards greater independence. So you want to be able to open up and feel what you're really feeling. The shadow here is acting out irrationally or selling out to the expectations of others. Hey, this is supposed to be, it's 4th of July weekend. We're supposed to have this big party. Everybody's supposed to be happy, rah, rah. Even though I don't feel like it, I'm going to put on that fake smile and forget it. You're being fake. Emotionally, you're not feeling what you're really feeling. And it results in you being locked up in an emotional prison. Now, let me clear those drawings and close that out. There we go. Saturday. Whatever Uranus is doing, Mars is going to follow along with. So not only do you have Uranus trining Pluto, you now have Mars. So you have a big, powerful transit here. I'm going to hopefully be able to put all three of these planets in together. So Mars, having the courage to be at peace with yourself. creates a great support of you doing the inner work of reflection and the work of inner healing and inner transformation. So, uh, Mars conjunct Uranus, it is right now. Um, so, as you're having the strength and the courage to be your authentic self and be at peace with who you are at heart, that creates a support of your doing the work of inner reflection and inner transformation and inner healing of deep wounds. Now, the shadow here is falling into fear and responding either as that bull in a china shop or laziness, just selling, or that lazy and just tell whatever, giving up. And that supports, instead of deeper healing, deeper wounding, loneliness, and isolation. So instead of healing, you're actually wounding yourself and living in cynicism, nihilism, darkness, and just hurting yourself even worse. So, and to tie the Mars-Uranian conjunction here, which will be going on, falling into fear and not being your authentic self, instead of acting out as a bull in china shop or selling out and just doing what people tell you, that fuels a deeper wounding of the self, the wounding of your core identity, who you are, and ouch. Again, loneliness, isolation, cynicism, nihilism, it just leads to you hurting yourself even more. And that's on Saturday. Let's clear this out. And that leads to, and I'm going to go I'm going to move this here, very late on Sunday. And we have the sun in Gemini in a square to Chiron in Pisces. No, Chiron is still in late Pisces. So as you're learning who you are and being able to communicate, that is squaring. It's a challenge that's designed to strengthen your ability to heal and release spiritual wounds, or at least heal and release wounds. Oh, wait a minute. Is that Square Saturn? I'm sorry. I screwed up on that. I was looking at a different one. My bad. That was an old transit. I remember that one. It's actually squaring Saturn. My bad. My apologies. As you're learning who you are and communicating it, I remember that. That's actually going to be coming up later. There was a different planet that was squaring. It's the Jupiter square. My bad. So as you're learning, communicating who you are, it is strengthening your Saturn and Pisces spiritual maturity. Yes, I do make mistakes, but I at least own up to it. And I'm this far into the video, so just pretend you didn't hear that. I don't want to re-record this again. This is take 5 or 6. So as you're learning about who you are and being able to communicate it, that is challenging you and strengthening you in your spiritual growth and spiritual maturity. And it can help you as you're doing this. It's helping you to become more engaged with life. The shadow here, you're this know-it-all. Can't teach me anything because I know it all. You're getting caught up in the false ego. And this is the ego that can shine too bright or not want to be seen at all. Can't teach me anything. And the square becomes a stumbling block. And that Saturn in Pisces is fueling fears. And they're fears based on fantasies. These are not real fears. And you're fueling fears. And that creates sensation of failure or despair, and that can become a crushing burden on you. And finally, we end the week with the moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces, where you're looking for emotionally right now, you're releasing old inspiration so you can find new inspiration, new ideas, and that fuels spiritual growth, fuels spiritual presence, fuels spiritual awareness. The shadow here is you're getting lost up in some sort of idle fantasy, or you're trying to escape life because it's just kind of numb and boring. Oops. Let me clear these drawings out. And that is our week. Let me close that out, minimize, go back here, go back here. Whoa, that is weird. Oh, I know what that is. Those are my blank slides that I repeat. So that is our week in a nutshell. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope my pronunciation, I did have a comment from someone telling me to slow down just a little bit because I was going too fast and I was hard to understand. So do thank you for the feedback you give me. My goal is to make these better. Do follow me on Facebook and Instagram where I do daily deep dives. I also post those on my blog first. You're watching this on YouTube. These three are making billions of dollars off your data. I am also on the digital soul space, which is a wonderful place to hang out. I call it the spiritual safe space of the internet. It is hosted on the Mighty Networks, which lets you control your data and your privacy, which is a beautiful thing. Digital soul space, I do astrology, but there's crystals, tarot, oracle cards, herbalism, a wide variety of spiritual practices. You name it, it's probably on there. 4 great moderators, which keep it a bully-free zone. There's a free version, which gets you limited access, and a paid version that gets you unlimited access. And 100% of what you're paying for access goes to sustaining the website. The moderators are unpaid. They're doing it out of volunteering. And Michael Robert, who does all the work for maintaining the website, he does that as a labor of love. He accepts no pay for that. All the money goes to paying for the hosting fees and for the software. So it's a great place to go and hang out. A lot of free events on there. You ask a question, ask the question, people will share what they know. It's a great place to be. I do offer readings and some packages. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal or to the quick 6, it's 6 key points. If you want to know your birth chart, why am I here? Birth chart or natal chart tells you why you are here. In evolutionary astrology, it's not who you are, it's who you came to become. Stephen Covey teaches you begin with the end in mind. I help you understand the lessons you came here to learn. There is a karmic chart or past life reading. If you believe in past lives, and some past life you had some negative karma that came up, I help you to understand what that karmic pattern is and how you can release and heal it in this lifetime. If you're a one and done, it's a special lesson that you came here to learn. And I do horoscopes. I do 1 year, any 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And that can be first of the month or last of the month to the last of the month, or new moon to new moon. I read either way, it works. And I do have packages that combine these readings. So on the various social medias, do like, follow, and share. You go on my on my webpage. There is a newsletter. Sign up for it. All I need is an email address. You get a once weekly newsletter with special discounts and offers. It's the only place I give them, really. Outside of the ISAA membership, which I am a member of, unless you're the member of that, there's a discount for that. But this is only other place where you get discounts. So like, follow, share, do sign up for the newsletter. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much for watching this. I appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback. It is helpful. Have yourself the best possible week. And if you are here in the United States, happy 4th of July.